The first one doesn't feel like the beginning of anything. It is 2002. You are 17 years old and you are playing for Sporting CP in the Portuguese league, and the ball falls to you in the penalty area, and you strike it and it goes in, and the small crowd in the stadium makes a noise and you jog back to the halfway line. That is it. No premonition, no sense that a counter somewhere has just clicked from 0 to 1. Just a goal, the way goals happen, and then the next minute, and the minute after that, and the rest of the match, and then training tomorrow morning. You do not know yet that you will spend the next 2 decades doing this in front of billions of people across every league and every continent. You do not know that journalists will one day track the number the way people track records that were never supposed to be breakable. You do not know that the act of striking a ball into a net will become so completely associated with your name that the two things, you and scoring, will become almost inseparable in the minds of everyone who watches football. You just know it went in. You just know you want to do it again. That want is where all of it begins. Not in the talent, though the talent is real and has been visible since you were 7 years old in an alley in Madeira with a worn ball and no one watching. The talent is the starting point. The want is the engine. The want is the thing that gets you up before sunrise when the talent alone would have let you sleep. The want is the thing that keeps you on the training pitch after everyone else has gone home, standing over a free kick in the dark, planting your standing foot the same way for the 200th time that evening because the first 199 were not quite right, and you will not leave until it is right. Not close, right. The goals at Sporting come in a single season before everything changes. A pre-season friendly against Manchester United in August 2002, where you spend 90 minutes doing things to their right side that prompt the entire United squad to lean across the bus aisle on the way to the airport and tell Ferguson he has to sign you immediately. The fee is £12.24 million, a record for a teenager. You are 18 years old, and you are at Old Trafford, and the number 7 shirt is in your hands, and you are already thinking about what comes next. By the time you arrive at Manchester United, the goals are already coming consistently enough that coaches stop being surprised and start expecting them. You score on your Premier League debut. You score in big matches and small ones, from open play and from set pieces, with your right foot and your left and your head. Each method refined through a volume of practice that your teammates find difficult to fully comprehend because they train hard too, and they cannot quite understand what you are doing that they are not. The answer is simple, and it is also not simple at all. You were doing the same things they are doing and then continuing for 2 more hours after they stop. The free kicks become their own category, standing over the ball with your feet wide and your chest out and the wall shifting nervously and 75,000 people in the stadium holding their breath. You have struck this exact free kick from this exact distance at this exact angle hundreds of times on an empty training pitch in the dark. The wall and the crowd and the stakes are new. The movement is not. Your foot finds the ball the way it always finds the ball, and the ball does what it has been trained to do, and the net moves, and the crowd erupts, and you wheel away, and the counter moves, and you are already thinking about the next one. Then 2007 to 2008 happens, and the scale shifts entirely. 42 goals across all competitions, a Champions League final in Moscow in the rain, a header in the first half that you timed so precisely that it seems like something you planned days in advance, the ball arriving from exactly the angle you expected and your body rising at exactly the right moment, because you have practiced this jump, this timing, this specific movement so many thousands of times that it no longer requires thought. It just happens. You peel away in the rain with your arms out, and you are 23 years old and you have just scored in a Champions League final, and the counter keeps moving. And you are not thinking about the number because you are living inside the moment, and the moment is everything. The Ballon d'Or arrives that year. You hold it, and you think about the alley in Madeira, and the worn ball, and the newspaper stuffed into boots that were a size too big, and the dormitory bathroom in Lisbon with the tap running so no one could hear you cry. And you think about the distance between this, and you hold the trophy for a moment longer than is probably necessary. Then Madrid calls, and the scale shifts again. £80 million, the most expensive player in the history of football, walking into the most famous stadium in the history of football. The Bernabeu on a European night holds 80,000 people, and when you are right, when everything is working, when the touch is clean and the movement is sharp and the defenders are half a second behind, all 80,000 of them are on their feet before the ball crosses the line because they can see what is coming and they cannot stop themselves from rising. The goals in Madrid accumulate the way water accumulates, steadily, relentlessly, without drama in the individual moments, even when the moments themselves are dramatic. A hat-trick against Atletico in a derby, a free kick at the Camp Nou with the score level and 90,000 people watching, curling into the top corner, and you wheel away with your shirt over your head because you have been saving that celebration for that exact stadium for a long time, and it finally arrived. A bicycle kick against Juventus in Turin in the Champions League quarterfinal, struck from 6 feet in the air, the kind of technique that requires your body to do 3 things simultaneously that most professional footballers cannot do one at a time. And the Juventus supporters, 41,000 of them, stand and applaud the opposition, because some things are simply larger than the result. You score 17 goals in a single Champions League campaign, the record. You finish seasons with 50 goals, 60 goals, numbers that would define another player's entire career arriving as a single season's work. 4 Champions League titles in 9 years, 4 Ballon d'Ors in white, 450 goals in 438 appearances for one club. But before Juventus, before the return to United, before Saudi Arabia, there is something that does not get talked about enough. There is the weight of the number itself. The awareness, somewhere around goal 600, that you are in territory no outfield player in the history of the game has reached. That the records you are now chasing are not records set by players from a different era of football. They are records that most people assumed could never be set at all. And that awareness does not slow you down. It does the opposite. It clarifies everything. Every session, every meal, every night you go to sleep at 10 o'clock when the rest of the world is still awake. Every morning you rise before it is light and go to work on a body that you treat not like a body but like an instrument that must be maintained at a level of precision that has no off-season and no compromise and no acceptable margin for anything less than everything. You leave Madrid at 33 and move to Juventus, and the people who said Madrid was the peak discovered they were wrong. 101 goals in 134 games in Serie A. A new country, a new language, a new set of defenders who believe they have studied you thoroughly enough to stop you until the moment they discover that studying you and stopping you are entirely different problems. 5 hat-tricks in 3 seasons, goals in the 87th and 90th minutes of matches the opposition had already filed away as draws. The counter keeps moving, and you keep not looking at it, because looking at it is not what makes it move. Then United, again. The second debut against Newcastle, 2 goals, the stadium shaking with a sound that is not just excitement, but relief. The specific sound a place makes when something it had been missing for years suddenly walks back through the door. You are 36 and still doing the thing you figured out when you were 7 in Madeira. The thing that has never stopped working because you have never stopped working on it. Then Nassr, Saudi Arabia. The world calls it the comfortable finish, the exit dressed up as a new chapter. 35 goals in the first season, 50 in the next. The people who called it retirement go quiet and find something else to write about. You are 39 years old and still waking up before the rest of the world and still standing in training with the same expression you have worn since you were a teenager, still, focused, like someone doing a calculation only they can see. And the number keeps climbing. 800, then 850, each 100 reported and absorbed into the past while you are already facing forward. People start talking about 900 the way they talk about things that feel inevitable but not quite real, a number so far outside ordinary football conversation that it needs its own category, its own silence when it finally arrives. On a night in Riyadh, the ball comes to you in the penalty area. You have been here before. You have been in this exact position in Lisbon and Manchester and Madrid and Turin and in Riyadh, in Champions League finals and in league matches that nobody outside the city was watching, on perfect pitches and terrible ones, in front of full stadiums and nearly empty ones. The defender is tight, the angle is not generous, the goalkeeper is already shifting his weight. None of that is new information. You have been solving this exact problem since you were a child in an alley with 2 rocks for goalposts. You strike it, low. Hard, far corner. The net moves in that specific way it moves when the ball has been struck cleanly, the whole thing rippling outward from the point of contact, like something that was always going to happen. And there is a silence.
Just 1 second, the half second between the ball crossing the line and the world catching up to what just happened. A silence that has followed every single one of these moments. From the first one in Lisbon in 2002 in front of a small crowd who made a small noise and went home, all the way to this one in a stadium in Riyadh with cameras sending it to every corner of the planet simultaneously. In that silence, you are not the record, you are not the number, you are not the $80 million or the 5 Ballon d'Ors or the 4 Champions League titles or the name that children in every continent know before they know almost anything else about football. You are the kid from Madeira who wanted to score goals. And you did, 900 times. And the want has not gone anywhere. One word in the comments, one word for 900 of anything feels like when you started with nothing but a worn ball and an alley and a feeling you could not explain. Just one. Subscribe. The next 100 are already coming.